some goodies. We have a wonderful program tonight, as you can see. We're going to sing our anthem as we always do. Lift every voice. Then I'm going to introduce our new District 1 manager, Ms. Karla Williamson. We've got a financial report from our treasurer, Raben. It's always important to keep up with the money. It's really essential. Then we have a really interesting presentation from the Detroit Assessor's office about NEZH tax abatements, neighborhood enterprise zones. We're going to get educated on property taxes this evening. We're going to meet several new neighbors. We have 13 new households since our last meeting in May. And some of our new neighbors are here tonight. David is going to give us an update on the Grand River construction, which I'm sure you've noticed it's been going on for 4 weeks at this point. It seems longer, but it's not. And I'll pitch a little piece about getting some more trees planted in Rosedale Park, which is a wonderful neighborhood full of trees, but we need even more. We got to save the planet. So, without further ado, Debbie's going to warm up her fingers, and we're going to sing our anthem. The words are on the back. We typically sing first and third verses. started. Next up, I'm going to introduce our new District 1 manager, Karla Williamson. Karla, as you will all remember, Ms. Latrice McClendon was our District 1 manager most recently, and she was a fabulous district manager, and we were delighted for her. She had a wonderful opportunity. She's now with Chemical Bank. And now we have a new district manager who also is just fantastic. Please give a warm Rosedale welcome to Karla Williamson.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the picture. I wasn't expecting that. So yes, my name is Karla Williamson. I've been now in District 1 for about 2.5 weeks. I was born in the community, not the Rosedale community, but close. And so appreciate having the opportunity to serve and be a liaison between the mayor's office and the residents. So my goal definitely is not to replace Latrice. My goal is to stand in the space. And I think that it's just really important that we always have someone that can stand in the space, give correct information, give information and educate residents on best practices. So what we know about Rosedale and about the communities that surround this area is that these are strong community groups, as you can see from everyone's attendance. So myself as the manager and the deputy manager, who is Kaya Robertson, who's sitting to my right, our goal is to... Let me start saying hi, Kaya. Hi, everybody. So the goal, again, is just to make sure that whatever resources you need, that we're able to assist you with them. And then we also need your feedback to know what we're doing good, what we can work to do better, and to make sure that we're answering questions and getting you what you need. So is there any quick questions I can answer for anyone? Can't beat that. So I appreciate that Ms. Pam put my contact information on the agenda. So if you could just take a moment and put that into your phones at some point. You probably can just change Latrice's name to my name, because I'm sure you had her information. But we are accessible to you. I asked for at least 48 hours to be able to return a call, but I do respond to texts as well as emails, and just want to assist, as I said, in just making this a great place for everybody to live, work, grow, and play. So thank you very much for allowing me to say that.
I do have one.
Yes, sir.
We just moved here from Georgia. What is the agenda of District 1, and what exactly do you help the community with?
So the district, so the city is broken down into 7 districts. There are elected officials who are the council persons, and then there are appointed district managers and deputy managers. So what we do is just assist with streamlining city services, making sure that people are educated about old and new practices, any kind of initiatives that are coming from the mayor's office. We want to make sure that we communicate those thoroughly to residents. And then in situations, just say, a resident may try to work through an issue or concern with another department and may not really get the resolve that they're looking for, then we're here to be your voice to assist in moving that forward. So thank you. I'm sorry, yes, sir.
Where your office is located?
So our office is stationed in the Crowell Recreation Center, which is right on Lobster off of 6 Mile. But because we're in the field a lot, we're not always in that space. So if ever you want to come and meet us there, then please let's have a conversation about a best time. But because we're in the field, we're also willing at all times to meet you where you are, maybe at the coffee shop or different small businesses that are in the area. We can be accessible in that manner. Have a great evening, everyone.
I think they have 2 more meetings they have to go to this evening, so we want to put her on the agenda first. Karla grew up in Prairie St. Mary, which is the neighborhood just on the other side of Southdale, north of Finkel, and I think her mom was the president of the neighborhood association over there for many, many years. So I first met Karla at Bushnell Church. She was active over there with Reverend Isaac. I know a lot of you knew Reverend Isaac, and that's where we met. So what goes around comes around. Karla's back. All right. Thank you, everybody. Next, we're going to hear from our treasurer, Frank Raben. Yes, I'm calling your name, Frank. Come on in. I ask always for every meeting for our treasurer to give us a report. It's not necessarily the first thing on your mind, but it's always the first thing on my mind. Your dues are what keep your organization going. Without your dues and your support, we wouldn't have an organization. $45 a year is a bargain price. I don't think we've raised it in more than 10 years. $20 of that $45 goes straight to pay a private contractor to plow the snow from our streets. The other $25 pays for a dazzling array of things, including the Renewal community house where we are here tonight, the food and drink that we have in the back of the room for refreshments, our newsletter that comes out every 2 months, our website, our electronic newsletter that you get every Sunday morning in your mailbox, and on and on. So we stretch the dollars really far. I'm stepping on Frank's time. It's okay. But I think it's really important that, it's your organization, your dues, keep it running. So I'll hush now and let the treasurer tell you what's going on.
Thank you, Pam, for the treasurer's report. It's that time of year when things have kind of slowed down a little bit. I sent out an email to everybody that I had an email address for about 3 weeks ago, I guess. And basically it was the same article that was in the newsletter. And a few people, paid up. And probably be sending out a postcard as a reminder, probably first part of October. As winter gets a little closer, send out a postcard with a copy of Snowplow on it. Give them an idea of the kind of thing. Right now we're sitting at 515 dues paid, so we've got about 85 to go to meet our goal. So we've got a good chance to make it. So anyway, that's really all I have to keep Pam from spending more money. We'll be all right. Other than that, everything's going pretty good. It's pretty much on track with where we normally are this time of year. So not real concerned.
Any questions? Frank, what was your goal? What's our goal?
600. I think last year we wound up like 585 or something like that. Some people paid their dues after the first 2 years, so we were like 590, I think, for last year. So we get pretty close to that. It'd be nice to have a lot more out of 1,600 homes. But, that's enough to pay the bills. So.
All right. Thank you, Frank. Very good. So 600 is the target. 600 out of 1,600 households. That's about 40% of the neighborhood. That, as Frank said, pays all our bills and keeps us rolling. Of course, if we were to get more, we could do more. We could have fancier food. We could have more drinks, whatever. I'm sure we could figure out fun ways to spend more money, but 600 households keeps us afloat. If you get a chance to mention to your neighbors, just ask, did you pay your dues yet? I paid mine. It's really worthwhile. It's not a big number, $45. You can send in part of it and then send in the rest of it. You don't have to send it all at once. We'll take the payment plan. That's fine. So do your best to encourage people to support. For your new people, just a sidebar, if you're new, if the person that came before you, who owned the house before, paid your dues, you don't owe dues for this year. It carries over. You'll just have to pay next year, but if the person who had the house before you didn't pay, then you do owe this year's due, this calendar year, January to December. In a lot of ways, the last quarter of the year is the most important, because that's when we have to start making those payments to the snow removal contractor. So, okay. Next, we have a presentation on the NEZH, Neighborhood Enterprise Zone Tax Abatement Renewal. Now, before I turn this portion of the meeting over to the employees, the nice people, Daryl, and Yvette, and Childress, George here tonight from the assessor's office. I'm going to turn it over to them, but I'm going to sort of set the table for them. Let's start by doing a short poll. Raise your hand if, like me, you bought your house before January 1st, 1997. Very good. Let us designate this group as the geezer squad. Us geezers who bought our houses a long time ago, our taxes are held down by what was called Proposal A. Our good friend Governor Engler came up with this scheme, and what it did, because lots of people had owned their homes for a long time, were starting to lose their homes because their taxes were so high, they couldn't pay their taxes. Elderly people were being forced out of their homes. So that wasn't good. So they came up with this very complicated, convoluted proposal, which also affects how schools are funded. Now, I won't go too far in the weeds on that, but the bottom line on it is it limited annual increases for your and my taxes in the geezer group to 5% or the rate of inflation, whichever is lower. So in the geezer group, our taxes are already much lower than people who came later, people who bought their homes after January 1st, 1997. For example, my husband Jim and I bought our house in 1990. It's a plain vanilla, 2-story, 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath, brick colonial, partially finished basement, nothing fancy, very, very ordinary. There's dozens of the same, architectural design all over the park. I think our total taxes last year were $1,900. It's probably going to go to $2,000 this year. If we were to sell our house today, the person coming after us would easily pay 3 times that much. Okay? Yikes. That's pretty scary. Maybe more than 3 times, because my taxes have been held down by Proposal A. All right.
You know you make
There's
new people feel bad, right?
People who bought their homes January 1st, 1997 and thereafter are eligible for a tax abatement program called Neighborhood Enterprise Zone. And this was instituted, I think, 2006, right around there, 7. Various zones in the city of Detroit were designated as neighborhood enterprise zones. And I'll just boil it down. What it amounted to is it lowered people's taxes 15 to 25% if you were owner occupied, you met the requirement about the date that you purchased the home, owner occupied, you agreed to make at least $500 worth of improvements to your property. Is there something else I'm missing? I think that's basically it. And it would lower your taxes 15 to 25% on your summer taxes. If you bought your home January 1st, 1997 or thereafter, you should be getting 2 tax bills. One for parcel number 22 blah, 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 and another one for parcel number 27 blah, blah, blah. If you bought your home after that target date and you're not getting 2 tax bills, boy, do we have good news for you. You can apply for this tax abatement like yes, right this minute, and get your taxes lowered a little bit. If you are getting the 2 tax bills, very good, that's great, you're getting the reduction, but here's what's going on right now. It was good for 15 years. And starting in year 12 or 13, it starts to step down, the reduction. And the city is now going through a process of reevaluating and reapplying so that all of you can renew it. Are you with me? All right. So these nice people are here tonight to explain how the city is going about the process of evaluating what it used to be and possible proposals for what it might be. Okay, so is everybody kind of, oh, there's one more thing I want to stress. For the Geezer group, this doesn't directly affect our personal tax bills. But why should we care about it? Because it does affect us, not directly, but indirectly in a couple of really important ways. The first one is, when it comes time for you to sell your house, sooner or later, we're all going to end up selling our houses. You want it to be affordable for the person who comes, prospective buyers. You don't want the taxes to be so astronomical that people can't afford to buy your house. So this NEZ is helpful to bring, because remember I told you, it's going to be triple, maybe quadruple, next person that comes behind me. So I want my house to be saleable, and I want the taxes to be reasonable that people could afford. All right? The other thing is, that applies to all the houses around you. A big part of the value of my home rests on the value of the homes right around mine. So if those homes have really high taxes and nobody wants to buy them and they're sitting vacant, you see what I mean? That's not good for my property values. Property, real estate has this way, we're all connected to each other. It really promotes people understanding community, if you think about it. It's a dollars and cents issue. So even though it might not directly affect my personal tax bill, this is an issue which we really care a lot about. Pretty much the whole of Grand Mount Rosedale has been designated in the past as an NEZ. And so the question is, will it continue to be? On that happy note, I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Childress. And I'm going to switch the PowerPoint.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for having me. Pam has been so kind as enough to set the stage for everyone, so I'm just going to kind of follow up from where she left off. I'd like to take this opportunity to discuss the Neighborhood Enterprise Homestead Program. The NEZ, or the Neighborhood Enterprise Homestead Program, is a property tax abatement for residential property owners that own and occupy their home as their principal residence. The NEZ program was developed to make the city more competitive in the marketplace. The hope is to encourage potential homeowners to move into the city and to encourage current homeowners to remain in their home as residents of the city of Detroit. The Neighborhood Enterprise Zone homestead areas consist of 52 districts, and your home must reside in one of those districts to qualify. As Ms. Pam mentioned, Rosedale Park is one of the 52 neighborhoods or districts. You must have purchased your property after December 31st, 1996, and you must both own and occupy your home as a principal residence. You must also stay current on your taxes and commit to completing at least $500 worth of improvements over a 3-year time span. You also must have filed a property transfer affidavit and a principal residence exemption affidavit with the Office of the Assessor. The NEZ Homestead Tax Abatement Program reduces the City of Detroit's operating millage between 15% and 25%, which will be reflected on your summer tax bill. This tax abatement lasts for 15 years. You may apply for this exemption program, or this program via an application at the Office of the Assessor, which is located in room 804, Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. You may also email your request to Assessor's Special Processing at DetroitMI.gov, or you may give us a call at area code 313-224-6989. The deadline to file an application is October 1st of every year. Your application will be processed for the following tax year. The required documentation to file the application is a valid driver's license or a state ID with the property in which you are applying for the abatement. The principal residence exemption affidavit also must be on file. If it's not, you need to complete one in our office. A property transfer affidavit also is required, along with a certified deed reflecting ownership of the property. If you owe a penalty for not filing that property transfer affidavit timely, payment also must be made. There are two ways that an NEZ homestead can be revoked. Once we issue the certificate, there are two things that can happen to revoke that certificate. You no longer occupy the property as your principal residence, or you have delinquent taxes. As Ms. Pound indicated, you received 2 tax bills. If either one of those go delinquent, that NEZ certificate can be revoked. Many have heard that the NEZ homesteads are being extended, and that is correct. If you are currently in the program and are nearing the end of your 15-year abatement, and all you need to do is simply fill out an affidavit in the office of the assessor indicating that the property continues to be your principal residence, and you again commit to a $500 improvement over a 3-year time period, and a new certificate will be issued for your property. Currently, the Detroit City Council are reviewing the status and viability of existing NEZ homestead areas to determine if and where new NEZ homestead areas are to be located. There will be public hearings held through the remainder of this year to determine if new homestead areas will be established. The hope is to have changes, if any, completed by the 2020 summer tax bill. That concludes my presentation. Is there any questions?
Where can we get this information? Is it in a flyer somewhere or a website we can go to?
The homestead information?
Where she just went over.
The slide, the presentation?
I couldn't write everything down here.
Okay.
Is it on,
Well,
put it
we
on the
could-
website maybe?
We perhaps can do
Could you give it to Pam and then,
Well, we could talk to the assessor.
We have to talk to the assessor, the board of assessors, and ask if they're agreeable to that, and then we can reach out and make sure you have a copy if they're agreeable to that.
thank you.
And some of the homestead information is already on the city website about the original requirements for the original homesteads. So the new requirements for the new homesteads is a little different. We will be putting that information out in the near future.
We will be updating the Office of the Assessor's website to include this some information as far as the affidavit.
Because you said the deadline was when?
October 1st. Right. But if you come into the office, we do have that information available.
If you missed the October 1st deadline, when can you start applying for it again?
That we take applications all year, but what it is that October 1st is the deadline to have it applied for the following year.
Okay.
Okay. But we will take it all year.
You said the districts are being reevaluated. Is Rosedale Park on the list of recommended districts?
And do you have some maps?
We do have, he has a map.
I just want, and then with the extension, is it an additional 15 years?
Yes.
So currently, this is actually the current state of the homesteads that there are now, based on what 2006, 2007.
In
Or-
District 1.
In District 1 only. This is focused on that district here.
So you can see the Grandma Rosedale neighborhoods are completely in it. You see that little bitty triangular sliver, that's Grandland, because that's commercial property. There's not going to be any homesteads there, so that's the only thing kind of missing, that little piece. Okay.
So now these are some of the recommendations. This is not official, but these are some of the recommendations. These are the proposed areas. So we have some changes here, changes here, and, actually, that's basically major changes in these target areas.
Well, you're right there at the edge of Minnick Park, you've just blown out Evergreen,
Excuse me, we can't hear you back.
go west.
Can't hear
Go
you.
west,
This here? Oh, hold on, guys.
right here,
Okay.
all right, so,
And these sites are proposed based on some studies information that we use from the assessor's office to turn over to city council about properties that have PRAs, how many properties have PRAs in certain areas, how many properties that have livable structures, and some income studies, and we did a lot of different studies. This is not official. This is actually proposed. It's just the first round of proposals. The city council will be having meetings to talk more about the changes and y'all concerns about some of the changes, and having every council member will be having meetings to talk to the community about all the changes and any proposals they have.
okay, so, all right, so sidebar here. Okay, so the 52 districts that they refer to that are current right now, if we looked at a map of the whole city of Detroit, you would be immediately struck by the fact that I'm going to guess 40 of the 52 districts are in Northwest Detroit. Okay, it's like totally lopsided. There are whole districts on the east side that have 0 neighborhood enterprise zones. Now, another part of the law that established this tax abatement program, neighborhood enterprise zones, also limits the total acreage of the city. You can give this exemption to 15%. Okay, so stop and think. There's a finite amount of pie here, 15% of the total acreage of the city, and a huge proportion of it is allocated in District 1 and District 2. So of course, now that it's going to be renewed, all of the council people are looking at this map and going, whoa, there's no districts in, none of this in my district. What about my residents? What about my area? So council had a subcommittee, I think Janae Ayers, Mary Sheffield, and Scott Benson, who's 2 of the 3, their districts have like 0 or very little. So of course they're interested in a more appropriate reallocation of the pie so that it's spread out more evenly all over the city. So unfortunately, now there was talk at this, I first learned about this at Mr. Tate's District 1 meeting, and the assessor, Mr. Horn, came and did a wonderful, other people too, did a wonderful presentation, explained all this stuff. There is talk that you could maybe increase the 15 to 20% of the total acreage, but the county would have to go along with that. There might even be an opportunity to have to go to Lansing and ask for it to be up to 25%, all of which is helpful in terms of enabling more people in the city of Detroit to take advantage of it. And some of the changes that are proposed make complete sense, like the Billy Rosedale Golf Course doesn't need to be in an enterprise zone. There are no homesteads there. There's not going to be any homesteads there. And other similar type parks that are included in the current ones that you can, but they're definitely looking for ways to downsize this huge congregation of districts on the northwest side, and so they can free it up and have more districts in the central and east side of the city. So one of the things that we would really like to know is why are these 2 streets, if you look at the map, so this proposal comes from that subcommittee, Benson, Sheffield, and Ayers, and there are going to be hearings. So we may need to go down to some hearings and ask the question, why are you picking on Plainview and Evergreen at the edge of Minnick Park? That doesn't seem right or fair. We may have to stick up for our Minnick Park neighbors. But the proposal right now is for our neighborhood, Rosedale Park, to remain intact and to continue to have, be able to take advantage of this. Now, I said the thing about the 2 tax bills, but I didn't explain why you're getting 2 tax bills. This abatement law that was passed by the legislature that can only give you an abatement on the improvements, which is the structure, the house. They can't give you an abatement on the ground, the parcel that you own. So the assessor had to split your property into two so that he can give you two different tax bills, one that isn't at the lower rate, which would be the earth that you own, and the one that is lower, which is for the structure. So that's why if you're getting two tax bills, you are getting the benefit of the NEZH, and you're cool. You're all set. All you need to do is apply to have it be renewed. If you bought your house after December 31st, 1996, and you're not getting two tax bills, hot-foot it down to Ms. Childress' office, Mr. Hardy's office on the 8th floor of Coleman Young, and bring on your paperwork. Can they get retroactive? No, it doesn't go right. So don't delay, because October 1st is right around the corner. Gather up your paperwork and get down there and go home and ask your neighbors. Make sure that the people on your block, people that you know in the neighborhood, make sure that they have this. Is there anybody in here who does know that they have the NEZH? You're getting two tax bills. Raise your hand. You're not. You're in the geezer club with me.
Pam,
Yes.
I moved up to see what street. I was trying to see, you said Evergreen Plainview, where does it start?
It starts at Grand River and it goes down to Finkel.
I know, but there's the little blue area. Okay, so is that Auburn, right there? What street is that? I couldn't tell.
There are two streets, Evergreen and Plainview.
That's it, that are not getting it.
Well, this is a proposal. This is a proposal. It's not,
Living on Plainview, president of Minot Park, that's why I moved up. I had to see that.
yes, yeah, that's of concern, no question about it. I saw Vicki earlier today at the office and I invited her to come tonight because we had spotted this. So, like I said, we may have to do a little organizing. We may have to call up Councilmember Tate and talk to him about this and express our concern because we don't want to see our neighbors here in Minot Park knocked out of the box, right? So, questions. Oh, so be clear, the nice people from the assessor's office, this was not their idea, this is not their decision, they don't control this. They're here to give us information. It's our council members that we have to hold responsible for this, okay? So Mr. Tate is really the main person that we need to funnel our feedback to. We can also let Ms. Karla and Kaya know how we feel about it too, but the person who really has a vote on the matter and influence is Mr. Tate. Yes, Ivan.
A couple of questions. One, when is the final map, what's the target date for the final map to be completed for the NEZH zone?
Okay, Ivan wants to know, what is the target date for this to be finalized, this new proposed allocation of the districts? Do you know?
No, we do not have a due date yet. We've just been working with the subcommittee right now, and pretty soon we will put all this information on the web for the public to see the citywide change. And like I said, every council member for every district will be reaching out to the community to get your input about the changes. They just actually started putting this map. Okay. We haven't had no final date for completion because we just started, the subcommittee just started about a few months ago with these proposals. And now we are just giving them out to the community. But we are going to put it on the website with information, and there will be, the council member of each district will be scheduling community meetings to talk to the public about some of the issues with the changes or some of the proposals. And your council members will be making the final change of the district. They will make the decision of their district, and that's who will be making it. Who will make the final decision of what changes, what areas we cut, which areas will stay.
Part B, to the question. If we go down and apply, and the unfortunate likelihood happens that we're kicked out of the NEZH, how will we be notified and when?
If you come in now, as I know of right now, you apply now, and 15 years, you will not be kicked out. If we cut the district, you are already grandfathered in. That's what a lot of the talks the club communities talk about. And they don't want to just cut you off because they changed the district after you already applied. So, but get more specific from the counselors, but that's what we've been talking about. And they've been talking about mostly leaving, if you apply for the new 15 or renew and you make the modification, you are grandfathered.
Can you give us the website again?
The website is not up. We are working with the subcommittee to develop the website to put all the maps up for the whole city.
What is the website?
It's going to be on the Detroit City website right now.
DetroitMI.gov, and then the
Yep.
assessor's part,
It
DetroitMI.gov.
won't be on this one won't be on Sept. This one will be more on the council side.
Oh, it'll be on council side, all right. If we can get a link to it, we'll put that in the Eblast. So are you all signed up for the Sunday morning Rosedale Eblast? If you're not, you need to get that way. All you gotta do is send an email to David and we'll put you on the list. And we will put an article and put the link once it's up for everybody to look at, okay?
If residents want to come down and fill out an application in person, where should they go and what documentation should they bring?
Yes, you come to the office of the assessor, which is located in the Common Municipal Center, room or suite 804. You need to make sure that you have a current principal residence exemption affidavit on file, as well as a certified deed and your property transfer affidavit. Those are the 3 documents that are needed. And your driver's license has to reflect the property in which you're applying for the abatement for. And the hope is, I think the question is the timeline. My understanding is that they're trying to make sure that this is ready for the 2020 summer tax bill. That is the goal.
Yeah, that's what
So that would need to be maybe by 1st of March? Or earlier?
It may need to
the
be
deadline
earlier
is
than that.
The deadline for, right, the deadline is for us to apply is October 1st, 2019,
Correct.
for the summer tax bill
Of 2020. Correct.
But they're planning to have the changes ready for 2020, though the deadline is in a couple of weeks.
Yes, I understand your question. I do.
I get it, so the key is just get grandfathered in. We just gotta really do our due diligence to make certain that.
That you apply.
Yeah,
Right.
So there's some
But but again, remember, we have the application in-house. And that means that if that rule stands, that whoever's there, they're grandfathered in,
Right.
then you just need to make sure you get in and fill it out.
So we can also put a quick notice in this coming Sunday's Eblast that quickly outlines this. If you haven't applied, or if you want to apply to renew yours, this is where you go, this is the documentation you need, this is the deadline to get going. So we'll put that, we can put an item together, we'll run it by you too, make sure it's accurate.
Look at the existing maps.
So to the point of renewal, if you're 10 years in, can you re-up now and get a fresh 15 years ahead of you? Even though you're not done?
That's a different question.
right.
I
I mean, if there's a possibility that we could lose our status, I don't want to be 5 years down the road, I want to be another 15 years down the road.
That's a good question. I don't really have the answer to that, but I can check with the Board of Assessors and find out if that's possible. And I will reach out to you to have an answer for you. Okay?
Thank you.
His question was if he's 10 years into his abatement, can he come now and apply so he, in case they're going to be removing him, so he can get another 15 years? Again, that's a question I can't. It'll be 5, or he'll get another 15 if that
But
would
he's already
be.
losing 5. If we gonna get 15 added on, he'll get
Right.
complete 15 plus another.
He would get the
I'll just apply 3 times
That's why
for the next
5 years.
60 years.
I have to realize.
So here's another question. I think if you own your home, and let's say you have the NEZ right now, and you're 10 years in, Alex decides to sell his house to Mr. Hardy. Does Alex's certificate travel? No, Mr. Hardy has to start all over again and go down and apply
I have to start you. It don't carry over.
when the property's
With
sold.
the homestead, you have to reapply. New owners reapply. If they change the district, when you sell, it won't be able to rerun.
So if it goes away, the new homeowner
Will not be eligible for it.
Right.
All right, more questions?
But the people who moved in before 1997, it doesn't impact them in the road.
Right, the geezer group is unaffected by this because we aren't eligible for it in the first place. Because our taxes are held artificially low by proposal A. We already have very low taxes, especially compared to the people who have come recently. Yes, ma'am.
So who's extension for? People who are finished this year?
they're nearing the end of their 15 years.
Okay, yes.
Right, but
So
see,
this starts all over.
they started this in 2006, so 6 plus 15 is 21, so they're starting to expire, and it steps down a little, you know, you get the full exemption for the first 13 years, and then year 13, it goes back up a little bit. The exemption is for 15 years, but it's not the whole, say, 25%. By year 13, it goes up a little bit, and then year 14, it goes up again, and then by year 15, you're back to the full amount of taxes. So it's sort of like they gradually start raising your taxes. So people's certificates are starting to expire now, which is why this has come up, and this whole idea of reallocating the pie so that it's more evenly distributed. So they're very aware that this is a sensitive issue, and you know, it doesn't feel good to be taking exemptions away from people. The council is very aware of that this is not a particularly popular. On the other hand, it's obvious that something has to be done because it isn't fair for this huge percentage of the exemptions to be clustered in District 1 and 2 and everybody else have none. Phil?
Is the assessor's office going to mail a letter to all those people with expired certificates encouraging them to re-up now or October?
They should.
You know who they are.
That would be something
Put it
that
in a
we,
water bill. Just,
heard.
you could put something like that in a water bill that already goes out.
We don't have that.
Well, we're not connected to the water department,
Well,
but
mine
what we,
are, but we use that as a way of.
but what we may do is talk to see if we can put that in with the assessor notice that you get every year, because that's an annual mailing. So I know we were adding something additional this year. I don't know if we're gonna have the opportunity to add an additional flyer in there, but that would probably be something I can speak with the Board of Assessors and see if that's something that they are agreeable to do. Because a lot of taxpayers would know that they have the opportunity. They're not attending meetings as such. They may not be aware.
So talk to us about the Board of Assessors. Because that sounds, you've referred to them 2 or 3 times now. It sounds like they have some critical decision-making powers in this whole scenario.
They're the head of the assessor's office.
So,
There's Mr. Horn is the deputy CFO, and then we have Ms. Stephanie O'Neill and Mr. Charles Erickson. They are members of the board as well.
okay,
And they are responsible for decision-making that affects the office of the assessor.
so that would be more people we could approach with our input. Another avenue that we want to touch base with and let them know how we feel. Ivan has another question.
Not the long list. I don't know how much influence you have on the dissemination of information, but if you talk to whoever does, ask them to do a public service announcement on all the local TV channels, because it's part of the news. Every day we get 5 o'clock news, 6 o'clock news. It would be great to have a public service announcement announcing that this is going to happen, and for people to contact whomever, because there are not many residents that's going to attend neighborhood meetings like we are, so chances are to eliminate the rush of angry people downtown. If you do it, you know, on all the local channels or public service announcement, you'll hit a lot of people.
Did everybody hear what I just said?
That would be something that the mayor's office handles. That would be the avenue that we would have to pursue in the public service announcement. That would be something that the office of the assessor can do independently. But as far as that flyer and getting that information out to the residents, that would be something that we can entertain. Okay.
You guys talk to.
We will. I'm going to take that information back. That is something that I will be, and I will be letting Ms. Pam know.
One more follow-up question. If for people that don't remember if they have it or where they are in the process, the 15-year process, can you call the office?
Yes, you can.
Just with an address, for example,
yes,
and they'll
we
give
can
you
look
that?
that information up for you.
Okay.
So we can put that in the Eblast.
Is there any other questions? Thank you for your time.
All right. Let's give the staff from the We really appreciate you coming out in the evening and giving us your time. This is a very complicated, sticky, fraught kind of an issue, and they just work there. They're responsible for the decisions, so don't beat up on them too hard. They were very gracious to come out this evening and talk with us. I think this was really important. When I heard it at Mr. Tate's meeting, I identified it as a really important issue that I want to be sure and bring to everybody, because I have a feeling that there's a bunch of people out in our neighborhood who are eligible for this, who are not claiming it. And a lot of times your realtor will tell you, I think, but a lot of times not. And so this is a shame, you know. There's no need of people paying any more taxes than they already are. So please ask around, spread the word. I'll work with David and we'll try to put together a concise notice to go in the Eblast, and we'll run that the next couple, 3 Sundays. We'll run it by Ms. Childress and Mr. Hardy, make sure we get the wording right. And you can share the information with everybody that you know. Are there any more questions or statements or ruminations or? All right, Ms. Chiquita.
Can this information be put in the new, neighborhood kit for the new, neighborhood kit?
Putting a notice in the new neighbor kit, that's a good idea. We could maybe just do an additional flyer that we could add to our packet. We have a new neighbor kit that we give to people, so we could, for sure. And if and when it gets settled, then change whatever. Yeah. All right, Donna.
Pam, just real quick, my 3 new neighbors that moved in this year, their realtor told them all about this program. So they was aware of it.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, Donna. Stand
I
up.
said, the new neighbors that moved in on Artesian, their realtors told them about the program, so they was aware of it.
Good. Your
When
relatives
they
know.
closed, yes.
All right. Very good. All right, we may need to rally and help our neighbors in Midland Park, who they're trying to slice out of the district. Yes, Mr. Etheridge.
Thank you. Just wanted to highly encourage everyone to take advantage of this program. While we have 15% of the city's land mass that's appropriated for this, less than 20% of the available land is actually used for NEZs. One question that came up was in regards to passing on the property to your children. And I highly encourage everyone, if you don't have a will, to get one. So that way, if it goes to probate court and your children inherit the property, they can then apply for the taxes, the tax abatement.
Okay then. Good to know. Thank you, Mr. Etheridge. Excellent. All right. Are we resolved with this? Are you satisfied? We'll try to get more information into the Eblast. Thank you. Thank you very much, staff from the Assessor's Office. We appreciate your help. All right. Time to move along. We'll go back to where we were. Oh, here's the map of where they all are right now. This is the whole city. Everything you see that's colored is a neighborhood enterprise zone. They've used a different color for each different district. So you see what I mean? See all the color in District 1 and 2 in the northwest corner of the city? And see that there's just a tiny bit in the center of the city and a tiny bit over there on the east side. And then see that giant white desert there? Nothing. So you can see it's not fair. I mean, anybody can see that. So, anyway, moving ahead. Time to meet the new neighbors. The favorite part of our meeting every time. There are 13 new households in Rosedale Park that I'm aware of since our last membership meeting in May. Oops, my projector has moved. Can you come shift it for me, Jim? So, William and Terry McCoy, are you here? They're on Ashton, across the street from Joe and Chiquita. I guess they weren't able to make it tonight. I met them. Very nice family. Beautiful house. Morning neighbors on Rosemont. I haven't been able to track them down. They're kind of elusive, but this house on Rosemont between Chalfont and Eden, it's across the street from our lot collector. But she hasn't been able to meet them yet, but that one's sold. Charnel Williams on Rosemont, are you here? Yay, come on up. This is our favorite part. All right, we're going to ask you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and why you wanted to come to the Rosedale Park.
I'm Charnel. This is my husband, Richard. My parents actually moved to Rosedale Park when I was a senior in high school, and we got married in 16, and so I lived there from senior high school until we got married in 16, and we kind of went off and lived downtown. We did our apartment thing, and then we got around to looking for a home, and we just so happened to be visiting my mom and dad and saw that this house was for sale 2 doors down, so we bought it. So that's that. I am a hairstylist, and this is my husband.
My wife has pretty much covered everything. I'm not from the city originally. I'm from Ypsilanti. So I met my wife. I'm a musician. I was hired to play at her church, and we met each other, and the rest is history. So far, I'm loving the city. I really do enjoy being here. We love our home. Just getting acclimated, and looking forward to having some children running around. This is never going to be.
What's my mom and dad?
Right. Yeah, our in-laws are a couple doors down, so that helps. But I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm a real estate agent, so if you guys know anybody who's looking to sell a house or buy a house or move to the Rosedale community, feel free to give me a call. I can leave my number with Pam. I don't have your cards tonight, but I can leave a card with her, and maybe she's able to put it in the email blast as well. So it's good to meet everybody. I look forward to speaking to everybody individually now and in the future. So thank you for having us.
Here, or in Charnel's case, your best. Abigail Harris on Rosemont, are you here? This is it's a new home. There aren't many new homes in Rosedale. I remember when this was built, it was my coworker at GRDC, Dave Brown. He was a Detroit firefighter. He had this house built, he and his wife, and it's been through a couple hands since then. It's kind of across from the park. It's a little bit north, across the street. It's a beautiful home with sort of a estate-like looking, with an attached garage and so forth. And a very nice family. And I can Gore met the people, and they seem lovely. I'm sorry they weren't able to make it tonight. All right. Mr. Brown's house. You all recognize that? William and Nora Brown used to live in this house. It's one of those beautiful ranch houses that are south of Linden on the far east side of our neighborhood. And this one is a real beauty. The Cole family, Gary Ferguson, their block captain, visited with them and had a little tour at the house, and the man said it was like living in a bubble from the 50s and 60s. Nothing had been done in terms of decor updates. So the family is busy working on those updates right now. We have plenty of work ahead of them, I think. So maybe you can coax them to come to our next meeting, Gary. We'll see. Mika Miller, also on Gary's block, right across the street from Gary. Mika, are you here? This is another home. You remember Diane Seaman, who was a president of our neighborhood association many years ago. This was her home, and more recently it was renovated by the land bank in the Rehab and Ready program and sold to a young man. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He worked for Quicken and then decided he just wanted to be downtown, like young people do. And so he sold the house to this young lady. So I hope maybe she'll come to the next meeting. The renovations are beautiful. It really looks gorgeous now. William and Deborah Patterson on Faust are here. They're my new neighbors on my block. Come on up. Tell us a little bit about yourselves and why you wanted to live in Rosedale Park.
Okay, I'm William Patterson. I'm a native Detroiter, born and raised here, but moved to Georgia, been gone about 30 years, finally retired, and been homesick for a good while, wanted to come back home. So I dragged Deborah, kicking and screaming, and she's still trying to figure out why I brought her to the land of ice and snow. She came with me, and you know, Rosedale Park happened to be the area where we live, which has always been a good neighborhood as far as I know, and we're just happy to be here.
But I like it very much. Yes, we were just delighted. We lost a longtime neighbor who owned their home, Gigi Tate. She moved away to Indiana, so we were delighted to get such wonderful new neighbors on our block. We came to our very first block party, and we did a lot of people. We had a good time. All right. Lori Kimbrough on Faust, are you here? This is Faust between Linden and Eaton on the west side of the street. No, I'm here. Elizabeth Smith, you're here. Or you were here. Liz, are you still here? She came and introduced herself to me. Maybe she gave up. She's here. She was just sitting right there. All right, well, she was here. It's a beautiful house on Glastonbury. I hope she'll come back. Andrea Perez and Megan Mulvaney on Artesian. Megan is here. Come on up. Are you here? No, not here. So they'll come another time. Kiki Loya on Warwick, are you here, Kiki, by any chance? So this is a great story. You've been reading about Kiki in the newspaper, if you've been reading the Free Press. She and a couple of other chefs, one of which also lives in our neighborhood, Max L. Hardy, but they did a lot of national press. I think they had a New York Times article. Kiki grew up in this house on Glastonbury, Warwick, between Finkel and Chalfont, and then she grew up and moved away and became a fabulous chef.
She's on Glastonbury.
Pardon?
That house is on Glastonbury.
That house?
She's two doors down.
Oh, yes, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. It's on Glastonbury. It's not on Warwick. The block caption is reminding me I have goofed up here. Anyway, so her parents decided they wanted to sell their house and move downtown, so Kiki decided she wanted to move back to her original family home. So that worked out great. So she's probably busy working at a restaurant right now. She's probably why she's not here, but we're thrilled to have her. We have these celebrity chefs in Rosedale Park, you know? So that's pretty wonderful. Raheem and Marlena Hampton on Minnock, are you here? Not here. Okay. How about DeMarco Baldwin? Have you stuck it out? You were here earlier. All right, DeMarco, come on up. I don't have a picture of DeMarco's house. This is news to me, but he's on Warwick. We're delighted to meet you.
How you doing, everybody? My name is Marco. I decided to move to Rosedale Park to my first house, but I didn't want to live in the suburbs. I rented apartments in the suburbs. It's kind of boring. My friends, they bought big houses in West Bloomfield and stuff like that. It's like, I'm staying in the city, so it's okay to stay.
Okay, so that's the new neighbors. Keep them coming. Now, you have noticed a few orange barrels in our environment recently. I think it's 4 weeks as of yesterday that they started doing the work on Grand River. Dave Legg is here to come and give us a little report on the latest news.
Thank you. So today, the MDOT and the city's planning department and contractors and so on, they had a public information meeting. They plan to have these every 2 weeks at the GRDC offices. Unfortunately, they're all at 10:30 in the morning. I think they follow their 2-week project meeting. So they're going to be set up there anyway, so they decided to have the construction meetings. But here are the dates for those, and actually there was a graphic that we had in the Eblast last weekend and week before last that had these same dates. And I think it's on the website too, on the RosedalePark.org website. So they'll have those every 2 weeks in September, October, and November. That's through the construction season. One of the things they addressed today was parking. So they've learned a lot of lessons with their project on Livernois, which is has been, is the word disaster too strong? It's been really rough on them over there. It's a different kind of project. Livernois is a very different street than Grand River. I don't think we're going to have nearly the kind of issues that they have there with businesses and people being able to park and get to the businesses and so on, but it's still a concern. So they have worked with 5 different locations of businesses that have side lots along Grand River, and they've agreed to allow people to park off-street. And that's at AutoZone, the Polnick Family Medical Clinic, which is at Outer Drive, and Grand River. It used to be the Pickwick House years ago, for those of you. Kriegers. What was it, the Geezer Squad? Yeah, they may remember that. The real estate office, RAMS, which is the office right next door to the coffee shop, next to Town Hall Cafe. Make It Happen Martial Arts, which is down toward Glastonbury. I think isn't that in the converted gas station?
Is that the Alston Limousine?
I think it's that building. I'm not 100% sure. And then also Rail Fresh Market, which is the grocery store in Greenland. There's also street parking, but depending on where they are in the project, and that changes from day to day, street parking may or may not work out. Right now, on the south side of Grand River, the curb lane is for parking only, although a lot of people, including buses, are using it as a driving lane, so we know how that can get on Grand River. But they have also put out these sandwich board signs. On one side it says shop local, or it'll have maybe the name of the business that's right there. But on the other side, they do have a map there. So if you are looking for off-street parking, you're able to check out the map. That is right there on the street. It's also on their website too. Now here's the construction schedule for the foreseeable future. They said today that 90% of the water main work on the north side of Grand River is done. And for those of you who aren't familiar, it's basically two projects in one. They're replacing all the water mains on Grand River, replacing any lead service lines for those businesses along there, and then also they're doing sidewalk, parking lane, traffic signals, pedestrian crossings, bike lanes, all kinds of work that will follow the water main work. So the next step, right now, it may seem like they're not working, but they are. They have to pressure test the new water main on the north side of the street, and they have to do that over a period of several days. So it may seem like they've just abandoned the work, and that's not true. They're just waiting for the pressure testing to work out. Then they'll start switching people from the old water main to the new water main. In 3 to 4 weeks, once all of that's done, they will move the water main work to the south side of the street. They'll reconfigure the driving lanes again. And at the same time, starting at Southfield, working west, they'll start doing the cement work on the north side of the street. So it'll really be busy when that starts. And frankly, for parking, I was looking at it today, I think that will be the time when parking, on-street parking will be the hardest, is when they're working on those lanes on the north side, and then they also have those lanes taken up with the water main work on the south side. So, yes, Alan?
Wouldn't they have to close the whole street if they were doing that?
No.
They're doing like the sidewalk on the north side while they do the water main on the south side?
Right. They're going to do the sidewalks and the bump outs for the parking lanes. And the middle of the street is the last part of the process,
right.
the left turn lane. And there are some pedestrian islands that are going in. Mm-hmm. And then while they're doing that work on the north side, that's where the bike lanes are going to be. So they're going to be transit islands that will be outside of the bike lane. So the bike lane will be a two-way bike lane in the curve, next to the curve. Then there will be pedestrian bump outs and also transit islands where the bus stops will be on the north side. So that's what's coming in the next few weeks. They still say that by the end of November, fingers crossed for good weather, all of the construction, all of the water main work and all of the cement work will be done in this whole stretch. And that will include realigning the intersection at Warwick, which doesn't line up. and it will line up afterwards. So if you want to stay up to date, the project website is detroitmi.gov/streetscapes. And that has all of the streetscape projects they have going on in the city right now, and the ones that are in the planning stage. But if you click on the one that says Grand River, it'll take you to the specifics about Grand River. And the Eblast will have updates in there as we get them. If you don't subscribe to that already, it comes out every Sunday morning at 6 a.m. And you can subscribe to it by going to rosedalepark.org, and you'll see a link at the top that says subscribe to Eblast. And that's actually the best way to do it, because that means you've opted into it, and legally the provider that we use treats that differently than if I enter it by hand. So, and then the GRDC website has some updates also, and that's grandmont.rosedale.com. So that's the report.
Any questions? No questions for David? Let's give David a round of applause. All right, I'm going to pitch you on the idea of planting trees in front of your house. Raise your hand if you don't have a tree in your berm in front of your house. All right, you need to get one. We're trying to save the planet here. We need you to get on board. The city has a program called 10,000 Up. The mayor wants to plant 10,000 trees in our city, and he's totally got the right idea. This is a flyer. If you're interested, let me give to you, Ms. Brenda, and also Chiquita. It answers some of the tree myths, like trees crack sidewalks or trees interfere with utility lines. These things are actually not true. Hey, you could save up to 30% on your cooling bill by having a nice big tree in your front yard. So that sounds appealing to me. And you can increase your property values by at least 10%. Properties that have trees on, people will pay more for it. So, if you know somebody on your block who looks like a good candidate, let me know. All we have to do is call up Miss Angel Squalls, and she'll put your address on the list, and boom, you'll get a tree. Probably in the next 6 weeks, they'll start planting for the fall. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing for our neighborhood. There's some blocks out there that look bald, really missing lots of trees. You gotta do something to get some new young trees planted out there.
Pam,
Yes.
when you talk about that, would you share with people that they're different trees than the trees we have that did break up the sidewalks? I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you go in front of your house, you'll see that the tree, so it's different. I just want you to share that.
Yes, did everybody hear what Stephanie's saying? One of the important changes in the way the city handles the tree planting in the public right-of-way, in Rosedale, years ago, we used to have each street had its own species. Okay, so like one street would be all ash, one street would be all maple. I think Faust was Norwegian maples mostly. So guess what happened? When the emerald ash borer came through, Stephanie's was wiped out. Every single tree died. It was a catastrophe. Dutch elm disease. Again, so they don't do that anymore. They intermix all kinds of different species, and they also select specifically for trees that will not break the sidewalks with their roots and that don't create messes, because some of them, certain species will drop a lot of waste, and residents don't like patch cleaning. So they really changed the types of trees that they're planting. So I think a lot of things that were problems in the past are not going to be problems now. One thing neighbors will say to me sometimes, well, Pam, I don't have to break up all those leaves. I say, you plan to be here 30 years? Because it's going to be about 30 years before this little tree is going to be big enough to make a significant number of leaves for you. So that usually answers that. Okay. Anything else on your mind? Any questions or comments?
I got a question, ma'am.
Yes.
You mentioned earlier about the number of residents that are and are not paying their dues.
Correct.
I've got a two-part question. Are there any penalties for not paying? And are there any incentives to pay?
Okay, did you everybody hear William's question? Are there any penalties for not paying your dues? Well, all your neighbors will scorn you. No, there aren't any penalties. The dues are entirely voluntary. We hope to win your heart and win you over to the support of the organization. Because, yes, it's true we have beautiful homes in our neighborhood, but also we have an organization, and that's the reason our neighborhood is intact, unlike lots of other neighborhoods. Because if you don't have an organization to pull people together so that they can find out about the NEZH renewal and hot-footed, I mean, there's a million advantages to having an organized presence in your community and a huge disadvantage if you don't have it. So we try to persuade you and win your heart over. There's no penalty if you don't pay. And what the reward you get if you do pay is, first of all, you're paying your share. That's the way my parents raised me. You don't have to pay for other people, but you do have to pay your own way. You know, nobody's going to pay your way for you. So you step up and you pay your own share. It's fair. All of us are really happy in the winter when we back our car out the driveway and you can get to work on time. Because you're not, floating in a sea of snow. That's a shared benefit that everybody takes advantage of. And so if nothing else, that should motivate you. The other things I think are also assets really worth having. Yes, Ms. Deborah. Deborah, do you have a comment?
Well, I did want to say this. One of the things that I heard about Rosedale Park was it is supposed to be one of the better organized neighborhoods, and this is part of the reason why. So that is one of the advantages to paying your dues and participating in that part for this neighborhood. But this is well talked about throughout neighborhoods, so just know that.
Yes. Yes. I couldn't agree more.
But see, and I agree with her. The only reason I'm asking the question is because we had our house built in Georgia. We had an association, and the majority of the people, after time did not pay their dues, and we watched that neighborhood just decline. So I'm for paying dues. Down there, they put liens on your property if you didn't. So I understand there's no penalty. I'm just wondering about incentives, like is it feasible to offer a t-shirt? I don't know if that's economically feasible, but because of the numbers that were mentioned seem so low to me. You said there's 1,600 households, you've only got like 500 paying.
600 is our target.
Okay, 600.
40%.
Yeah, 40%. That's a kind of low number. So
I agree.
If there's anything that we can offer in the way of an incentive, maybe put those numbers up. So.
Get this man on a committee, Pam.
Anything else, people? We've got your hoodies and t-shirts for sale. The t-shirts are $6, the hoodies are $20. Such a deal. How can you go wrong? Our radio patrol meeting, I have the date wrong. It should say September 17th. It's next week on Tuesday night at 6:30 up at the GRDC office. Our radio patrol president, Kathy Roland, sent me the information and it was too late. I'm very sorry, brain fog. It is next Tuesday, the 17th. So if you're not a member of Radio Patrol, especially if you're a new person, it's a fun thing to think about doing once a month for 2 hours. You drive around the neighborhood, get to hang out with your partner. It's sort of a cheap date. And you get to learn a lot about the neighborhood. You notice a lot of things. It's actually pretty fun if you haven't done it before. There's a special training the police department certifies you when you go for ride-alongs with other people. Raise your hand if you're on Radio Patrol. Lots of people are on Radio Patrol. We have about 30, between 25 and 30 patrols during a month. And it's a real nice feature. More eyes and more ears watching over what's going on. Okay then. Yes.
I was going to say just a quick thing, just to tell people to be vigilant about locking their doors.
Is everybody hear what Chanel
That
is
was
talking
on
about?
mine.
Yes, there are people roaming in our neighborhood, going through people's cars. There's no question about it. Lots of people have recorded the video on their Ring doorbells and so forth. If you have a garage, put your car away and lock it up. Nobody goes through your car if it's locked up in your garage, and nobody has their car stolen out of their garage. I wonder why that is. Because there's so many people who leave their car out on the street or in their driveway. So why would they bother to break in? It's so much easier just to steal these cars. They're sitting out in the driveways. But for sure, the minimum you can do is lock your doors of your cars because they are going through the cars. Yes, the lady back here.
I noticed you said the ring, a lot of neighbors are catching incidents on the ring. Had anyone decided to get a committee together in Rosedale Park to, with the ring service to let everyone know what's going on? Because it's a link on there where you can already connect with the neighborhood. You need to do a special one for our specific.
If you have a Ring doorbell, you can share the video. If somebody does, if you do catch somebody on your video, you can share it with others who are also in the Ring network. There's a feature of the software that you can do it with. Anything else? Oh, Mr. Terrence Hicks is here. Stand up, Mr. Hicks. Representing the Water Department, if you have questions or comments for Mr. Hicks. Mr. Hicks, you have a few words you want to say?
Yeah, I'll just say that, because, as part of this capital improvement project, a 5-year capital improvement project in excess of $500 million, that this neighborhood was one of the first, and then the neighborhood, Cornerstone Village on the east side. So, because you were one of the first neighborhoods as the beta test, then everything should be good. However, if there's some challenges that you have with Detroit Water and Sewage Department, and I can take it back to them directly, then I have some comment cards that's been working out pretty well as I go through districts 1 and districts 2. So if you're interested in doing so, let me know. But considering the fact, as I stated, that Detroit Water and Sewage Department put special emphasis on Rosedale Park and Cornerstone Village on the east side, then it is my hope that you haven't had many problems with your water system. So if you do, raise your hand. I'll pass out one of these comment cards, you fill it out, and I'll take it back to Detroit Water and Sewage Department in the morning.
When you say they put special emphasis on this neighborhood to do what?
They replaced the water mains, as you said, on the Grand River. They replacing water mains and lead service lines. This is one of the pilot projects in this neighborhood and the east side of the entire city.
Okay.
So, basically, I just come here to check on you and participate and keep my ears and my eyes open if you have any challenges that I can take back.
Does that include bills? Because you moved in July, and the previous tenant is still getting bills, even though we've gone down to the city county building and done to the assessor's office and did what we were supposed to do. She's still getting the water bill. Or rather, it's coming out of the escrow deposit that she left at the time of sale, and we've not received the water bill yet. So
that does include some challenges with bills. Sometimes there's problems with your pipes in your house, that DWSD didn't have anything to do with, but you're being excessively charged, and sometimes the toilet is running too long, and different things that you may or may not be aware of. And then when you bring it to DWSD's attention that my bill is double, for whatever the reason is, and then a lot of times it's something, well, I won't say as simple as, but it's something that's staring at you the entire time you just did not know. And so I take these comment cards, I do a report first thing in the morning, take the comment cards to DWSD. They have stated that they respond, and they have responded in 48 hours. So if there's some challenges, I can give you a card and then take it in the morning. Anyone else? Okay, great, excellent.
Thank you, Mr. Hicks. Thank you very much. All right, I have one last item. Our Wayne County Commissioner, Ms. Alicia Bell, has sent 2 tickets to the Tiger game on Sunday, September 22nd. I feel like these brand new neighbors here, Ms. Chanel and Richard, on having these tiny chickens. We'll get you next time. All right, everybody. It's been great to spend the evening together. Thank you so much for coming.